Michael, you're so funny sometimes. You buy me a really wicked black dress that's really short and really tight, shows off all my best points, and then you say don't wear it because other men keep staring at me.
I didn't say that.
No, but I could tell you were angry. All those beautiful, muscly men ogling me and trying to get my telephone number.
Cheryl, I wasn't angry.
I think you were.
I was not.
Look, what's up with you? Any other boyfriend would have been consumed with jealousy.
I trust you.
That's not the point. I was pestered all night by fat, smelly drunks.
I thought you said they were beautiful.
You don't attract beautiful men in a dress that makes you look like a cheap tart.
You said you liked it.
Well, I don't. It's a load of old rubbish.
Danny!
Oh, come on, what's the problem?
You know what the problem is. Your mother does not like you being in this hospital.
I've been here before.
I know, and you've been thrown out before. And if I hadn't have intervened, it would have been by an 8th-floor window. Now, look, just down there's a sign marked fire exit.
What's the rush?
It's 1:20, and your mother's only having a yoghurt for lunch.
You're not supposed to use the fire exit when there isn't a fire.
Oh, don't worry, there will be. When she finds you here, you'll be able to roast chestnuts in front of her mouth.
I just came in to tell her some good news.
Oh. Oh, well, that might be okay. What?
My A-level results arrived in the second post. 2 A's and a B.
Oh, Danny, that's great! So you're off to Loughborough to do engineering?
No. I'm coming here to do medicine.
Well done, Danny.
That's brilliant.
We'll have to celebrate.
What are you doing Friday?
Nothing?
Hang on a minute.
Right, Friday.
I've got this wicked new black dress.
Can I just clear up one small point? How is it you come into our medical school when you applied to St Andrews, Loughborough and the University of Durham to study engineering?
Ah.
Oh, don't say "ah" like that. Every time you say "ah" like that, I end up sleeping in the spare room.
I didn't tell Mum because I thought she might object to me doing medicine.
She would be overjoyed you're doing medicine. As long as you do it in Winnipeg, Papua New Guinea, or a small island off the coast of Borneo.
Well, so would I. I put all 3 before this dump.
Don't say anything just yet.
Why?
Well, there's been a bit of argy-bargy this morning, and your mother is...
I'll break it to her gently.
Well, I'm not sure.
Oh, my God, you wouldn't believe the argument Sheila's having down in the canteen. Oh, hello, Danny. Neil Copeland stormed out. George Hopin's using language that would curl the spines on a hedgehog, and there's yoghurt everywhere.
Right. Fire exit!
Hello? I was just having a quick snooze. Yes. One must never snooze in a hospital. A single over-enthusiastic nurse passes by and one wakes up in the chapel of rest with cotton wool stuffed up every orifice. Peters? No, I'm afraid Mrs. Sabatini is downstairs throwing her lunch at people. Can I help? Yes, it's quite true. Not a single penny out of hospital funds.
My good woman, the annual meeting of the Surgical Department Social Committee has always been paid for out of the budget.
I am not doling up £600 for a knees up in the back bar of a strip club.
The Pussy Willow is not a strip club.
Then explain to me why the Surgical Department Social Committee has 51 members, all of them male, and a waiting list longer than ear, nose and throat. As Director of Surgery, I am not wasting resources on frivolous rubbish.
That function has taken place for 25 years. It's now a major tradition.
So is Morris dancing, and I wouldn't give you £600 for that even if I could decide where to tie the bells.
I have not finished.
Yes, if your department should be short of blood, I should send someone up in 10 minutes with a sponge.
My good woman!
Stop calling me your good woman. I am not yours, I am not good, and I am not the one wearing a corset. Giles!
Don't give an inch, George. On a matter of principle like this, you must fight all the way.
Yes.
Even if you should end up thoroughly humiliated.
Sheila!
What?
You don't mind if I call you by your first name?
You can call me Petal, dinky poos or flower of the dung heap. You are not getting any cash.
I have worked tirelessly for 6 weeks to arrange this meeting.
That is not a meeting. A meeting takes place round a table, not a girl called Fifi with a 10-foot boa constrictor.
That is a scandalous lie.
All we do is discuss the arrangement of charitable events over a small glass of wine.
Then why does he want £600?
Someone has to pay for the sausage rolls.
I told you 4 weeks ago, while I control the budget, belts will have to be tightened. And if you present me with a bill for that booze tomorrow, I will tighten one round your throat!
You're not gonna believe this,
You
Joyce.
really annoy me sometimes.
I've got something important to tell you about Daniel.
Well, before you start, let me just say this. I am unit manager of this department, and if that row down the corridor turns into something really nasty and I don't get to watch, I should be very upset.
You needn't worry about that. When Sheila finds out what her son has done, there's going to be nastiness by the bucketful.
It's that bad?
Now, look, you've got to promise.
I promise.
I haven't said what yet.
Well, I can't wait around all day for that. What's he done?
He's not going to university to study engineering.
You got me steamed up for that?
No. You're missing the point. It's not what he won't be doing that's important. It's what he will be doing.
What? Will you stop following me round like a private dick?
I'm tempted. Solve this problem.
There is only one problem, and it is you, and I could solve that in 10 seconds flat with a garlic crusher.
Oh, wonderful.
The answer is no.
I fail to see why a small contribution cannot be made out of what is, after all, a... Oh.
Giles. Giles. Have you by any chance got a new girlfriend?
I don't know what you mean.
Danny, I am pleading with you. Now is not the time to mention,
He doesn't
university.
seem to understand that £600 is a lot of money. I mean, Jonathan could buy 300 pairs of trousers for that. I need every penny of that budget just to keep the department ticking over.
Look, Joyce came back for a cup of tea and a chat. Can't we talk about something else?
Like what?
Well, I don't know. Anything.
I've got something.
Politics or the weather or...
Can I say something?
What about you? I'm sure you've got something. Some nut of scandal you're dying to spring on us.
Well, there was something.
Good. Well, you carry on, talk about that, and I'll make the tea.
What's this I hear about you not going to university?
I just thought of something. What about a slab of cheesecake? There's one in the fridge.
Cheesecake?
Not going to university.
I've made other plans. I told Jonathan.
So, how many is that for cheesecake?
Will you stop prattling on about cheesecake? What do you mean, other plans?
Well,
Look, Sheila, I think I ought to warn you. This might sound bad at first, but when you think about it carefully, it's really wonderful news. I mean, I think he's made exactly the right decision.
What decision?
well, instead of doing engineering next year, I thought I might slob around the world for a few months.
What?
Slob around the world.
Sow a few wild oats.
No, Danny.
It won't cost you much. All I need is about 2,000 quid.
Oh, I see. You want to slob around in business class.
Sheila,
And this is what you call a good idea.
Well, everyone else does it at my age.
No, everyone else does not do it. Americans do it to prove they know where the rest of the world is. New Zealanders do it because they're sick of the sight of sheep.
Sheila, I want you to know that I knew absolutely nothing
Don't
about...
say another word. Just get upstairs and drag your duvet into the spare room.
Do it! Every blasted time!
As for you can slob off with my blessing, but I give you one word of advice. When you have slobbed halfway round, don't bother slobbing back in this direction.
Oh, Sheila, you should try this. It's gorgeous.
Giles, have you seen... Michael, have you seen George Hope win?
I don't think so. Why?
I'm just scared he might have another argument with Sheila. Neil, have you seen...
Would I be correct in saying Sheila Sabatini is in a bad mood?
George, I was going to warn you.
That man is a dear friend, and it broke my heart to have to stand back and watch him being thrashed about like that.
She's having problems with her son.
Huh?
Hey, Neil, he looks really bad.
Well, of course he does. The shock of the unexpected. All he said was, "My good woman." She was on him like a pack of coyotes.
Thank you, Deborah.
You'll have to forget about that booze up tonight.
Yeah.
What? George? Not go to the surgical department's social committee meeting?
Well, by the look of him, they'd be lucky to get as far as that fridge.
Well, you clearly don't know him as I do. Sheila Sabatini may think she's knocked his stuffing out, but inside, that man is laughing derisively.
Well, it's not showing on the outside.
If she thinks any one of us is afraid of a mere female, she is very much mistaken.
Really?
Yes, really.
Cheryl said you might be out here.
Everybody's out here. I'm all scared stiff to go in the canteen in case your mum's there.
Just taking in a spot of sun.
This is all your fault.
Oh, I thought it was quite clever. If I'd said to Mum, I'm going to be studying medicine in your hospital, she'd have gone nuts.
Oh, well. Thank God you didn't. Thank God you said I'm going to hunt for loose women over 5 continents. That's cheered her up no end.
She didn't seem that angry.
Danny, she attacked George Hope Wynne this morning. The poor bloke had to lie down for 2 hours. And he still dribbles his coffee.
It's not enough.
Not enough for what?
Well, it's got to be a big relief when I tell her what I'm really doing next year. And for that to happen, I might have to make her a bit more angry tonight.
Calm down! My son is going to become a New Age traveller, and you say calm down? My son is going to park an old bus outside my home, paint it 48 different colours, and then drive off to raise chickens in a lay-by in Cornwall, and you say calm down?
I've had as much of this as I can take. I am now going to work, and I don't want to see you again until the veins in your neck have deflated by at least 4 inches. And now, my blasted battery's worn out.
Morning, Giles. Oh, God, he's asleep. Giles!
Good morning. Oh, by the way, congratulations.
About what?
A friend of mine told me about your son.
They haven't sold him a bus.
Sorry?
What about my son?
Well, him being accepted by the medical school. I expect you feel quite proud.
Sheila, have you heard?
Yes, Giles just told me.
It's awful.
Awful?
Of course it's awful.
No, it isn't. I feel quite proud.
Sheila.
Well, why shouldn't I? He's my son.
Son? Giles didn't tell you about George Hope Wynne?
No, what about him?
He's had a heart attack.
It's hard to believe. I always thought Mr. Hope Wynne looked quite fit.
Well, the man is an ex-champion boxer. Not an ounce of flab anywhere above the chest. I have it on good authority he does anything up to 3 press-ups a day.
It's not fair. He's such a nice man. I joke about him sometimes and use words like boring old gut bag. But he wouldn't mind because he's such a nice man.
Everyone says so.
That's right.
I've seen about 30 people this morning, all telling each other how much they've always liked Mr. Hope Wynne.
Man, I've just heard about what happened last night. I told you you shouldn't go.
Well, it all happened rather suddenly. George went deathly pale. He collapsed on the floor. Fortunately, it's quite a mild attack.
Oh, thank God for that. I've always liked George. Well, I may have said things in the past, you know, jokey things.
Like the pompous old twit should be put out to grass.
George didn't mind that. He's such a nice bloke.
Oh, we've decided to have a whip round for Mr. Hope Wynne. Get him a nice bottle or something.
Oh, marvellous. That's great. Whose idea was that?
Mine. Well, I've always liked Mr. Hope Wynne.
Debbie, we've got to try and be sensible. You're a very demanding person. Well, I'm the kind of man who needs more than 25 minutes sleep a night. Oh, honestly, my legs really aren't that sexy.
We're having a whip round for Mr. Hope Wynne.
Oh, good.
Don't let me interrupt.
Excuse me.
You were right about Giles. Oh, Sheila, you mustn't blame yourself.
For what?
Well, for the fact that a man quite advanced in years keeled over with a heart attack shortly after you beat him up.
I did not beat him up. We had an argument, yes, but no more than that. Everyone's talking as if I slapped him about like a brush full of wallpaper paste.
Oh, I'm sure they don't mean that.
If I really had beaten him up, he would now be having a whip round for a floral tribute.
I'd like to make a contribution to George's nice bottle of something.
Thank you.
And as I shall be visiting him most evenings, may I recommend a rather good malt whiskey? This particular brand can be acquired in 1 litre bottles.
When you see George, would you give him my best wishes?
Oh, yes, of course. I'm sure the mere mention of your name will perk him up considerably.
Why does everyone think that I'm responsible for this? George Hope Wynne drinks like a fish, eats rubbish, and exercises marginally less than a sea slug. He smokes cigars that wouldn't look out of place shoved up a torpedo tube, and inhales enough smoke to make 13,000 kippers and carries more weight than a forklift truck. If I were his doctor, I'd sew his mouth up, send him on a 100-mile walk, and still tell him not to start any really long books. So don't tell me that I'm responsible for this, because that man is so unhealthy that if a bunch of cannibals ate him, they'd all get the trots. What's up with her?
She thinks she's responsible for this George Hope Wynne business.
What's he doing in there? Giles! I want to get some money out of my trouser pocket. Thank you. Do you happen to know if the switchboard operator can hear what's being said on this phone?
If you ask her nicely, she can even put it through to that one.
Giles, listen, I need your help. Now, Sheila's feeling a bit down in the dumps, obviously because she's convinced she's responsible for giving Mr. Hope Wynne a coronary. Now, of course, I've been doing everything I can to put her mind at rest and generally make her feel better, but it doesn't seem to be working, so Anyway, I've been discussing it with Cheryl, and she's going to say a few comforting words to Sheila when the opportunity arises, and I think you should do the same. Something like, oh, these things happen, or I'm sure Mr. Hope Wynne wouldn't want you to feel responsible, or something like that. Oh, I'll leave it up to you.
Leave what?
Sheila, have you got anything special planned for tonight?
Well, unless there's anything particularly good on TV, I was going to pass my son through a bacon slicer.
Oh, for God's sake.
Giles, if it's any help, the stitch you are trying to cut is at 10 o'clock.
I can see it.
No, you can't. You've been snipping about all over the place like you're pruning shrubbery. Congratulations. If we do the next 3 patients as fast, I may get home in time for the menopause. Why do you want to know what I'm doing tonight?
Well, I thought we might go round and see George.
Oh.
Mr. Hope Wynne's heart attack had nothing to do with Mrs. Sabatini.
All right, thank you, sister.
Well, you mustn't blame yourself. Just because you bashed him about all over the place.
I did not bash him about.
Sheila, just keep calm.
No, I'm fed up with people telling me not to blame myself as though it's perfectly obvious that I'm responsible.
Nobody's saying you're to blame.
Yes, they are.
Well, like who? Go on, name one person who says that you are responsible.
Well, Mr. Copeland said she was.
Yeah, well, we all know what Neil's like.
And Dr. Prentice definitely said so.
Yes, but that's all. I mean, there's no one else who actually thinks
And
that...
Dr. Gordon said if Mr. Hope Wynne dies, she should be arrested for manslaughter. But I think that's all.
Anybody else want to say anything? Giles?
Has something happened to Mr. Hope Wynne?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
It was awful. Mrs. Sabatini had this huge punch-up with him yesterday, and it must have had some effect, because shortly after that time he had this terrible attack.
Listen, exactly how angry would you like her to be? Because right now she could steam a jam sponge just by breathing on it.
All right, I'll tell her now.
Now, I have been thinking.
No, before you say any more, Danny has something to say.
Oh, never mind about that. I've got some good news. I've found a bus.
A bus?
Yes, you know, a long thing with wheels. It was in the local paper. There was even a picture.
A bus?
Jonathan, I've said it was a bus twice. If I'd mentioned it was an electric trouser press, I would have said so. Now, it's £700, but I rang the man up and he says he's open to offers, which is perfect for you because it means we can do a deal on the chickens.
Chickens?
Yes, he keeps chickens as well. Isn't that perfect?
Oh, I haven't got £700.
Well, I know that. But like I said, I've been thinking. If I gave you £1,000, you could slop off almost immediately.
Oh, thanks.
Unless, of course, you prefer to stay here and study medicine. It occurs to me that I have never had occasion to say that I'm proud of you. Well, I am now.
Supposing I do stay, do I still get £1,000?
Nope.
500?
Nope.
250?
Done.
Great. Could you advance me 30 because I'm going out tonight? Thanks, Mum.
Come on.
Yeah, why not?
I thought...
Yes, I know.
Where are we going? Another snifter, George.
I'd rather not. Actually, I feel quite worn out.
Really? You just drop off. I'll be all right.
Yes.
George, hope you don't mind. Grace said we could come up.
We?
I'd like to apologise.
There's really no need.
Yes, there is. I know I can be quite rough at times.
You see the way she bashes me about.
Just to never think that that kind of thing is going to lead to someone having a heart attack.
Good Lord, who was it?
I'm sorry?
Who was it had the heart attack?
You?
Me?
Anyone like a drop of this? It's really dreadfully good.
Excuse me, would you mind explaining what you are doing in bed?
Well, I came over rather strange at the surgical department's social committee meeting.
What do you mean, came over strange?
Yes, well, I think I've already explained this. George went deathly pale, his eyes rolled back, and he fell off the table.
What table? Table I was standing on to call the meeting to order.
Yes, and I rushed forward because I thought he might be strangled by the snake.
Yes, I believe there was a small snake round my neck.
Yes, you can't be too careful about these things. I mean, the sound of George singing, Dinah, Dinah, show us your leg, could have sent the thing into a frenzy. However, I was assured by Maxine that it was only after the plate of prawns George was balancing on his head. I really must tootle off downstairs and ask Grace to ring me a taxi. So, I'll leave you now. I'm sure you've all got lots to talk about. Cheerio.
Well, we must be going too. I'm so glad that you're on the mend, George.
Oh, yes, I think I'll be up and about in a few days.
Good. Just make sure you get plenty of rest.
Yeah, she's absolutely right. You just lie back and don't worry about a thing.
Clear your mind of all life's cares and woes.
Yes, I will.
There is one little bit of news that might cheer you up. My son's going to be studying medicine at the Gillies next year. So there'll be 2 Sabattinis at the hospital.
Grace! Grace!